I'd like to welcome everyone to the CSIAC podcast series. In today's episode, we'll be joined by Ms. Karen Roth. She's the Chief Engineer for the Air Force Research Laboratory, the Information Directorate, located in Rome, New York. Now, back in September of 2019, Karen conducted a CSIAC webinar for us where she told us about the Open Innovation Campus concept that the lab was developing. So today, Karen is going to give us an update on that process and tell us about the new Innovare Advancement Center.
Thank you so much, Steve. And thank you for having me back to talk on this podcast again. I really appreciate it. And thank you to the CSIAC for giving us this venue to talk about the Innovare Advancement Center and the ecosystem that we're really looking to build here in Rome, New York. As Steve mentioned, we were here in 2019. I was able to actually go down to the CSIAC at that point in time and record a webinar for everyone. We talked about how that our goal was really to develop an agile and transformative ecosystem, zoning in on what we have at the Griffith Technical Park and all of the great things that we've built there since the BRAC 25 plus years ago, in terms of the Air Force Research Laboratory, all of the small business infrastructure, and the great foundation of partnerships and relationships we have all over the world to the different mission areas of Rome and the Information Directorate. We really wanted to take that and be able to take it off almost on a runway of developing all of those great practices that we had all built into everything here in Rome into a runway. And all of this was really emphasized through the National Defense Strategy, the 2018 National Defense Strategy of, get out there, work in parallel with industry, work in parallel with academia, come up with other business models to complement what you do in defense. The obvious typical business model that we've used historically of letting contracts out to do specific things will always continue to be part of our business model, but how do we complement that in a great way? And then the Air Force 2030 study specifically called out open innovation, open campuses, and that really complemented everything that we had been looking into and researching for probably 5 years of why did we want to be in the open innovation space. And a lot of it was to complement the gap that we saw of bringing new players into the ecosystem. There's a huge gap with people understanding our portfolio and understanding how to get involved in it. How do you bring smaller technologies in? We have the CIBR program, but really launching the CIBR program off. If we go outside of the upstate New York ecosystem, we don't have a great presence in terms of people understanding who we are, how we work, what we do, while as we do contain most of the fundamental research for the Air Force here in Rome in the areas of C4ISR and cyber, which is such a huge topic area right now. And so with that as the starting point, since that last podcast, we've developed a 5-year strategy in conjunction with our main partners with 3 main pillars and put together a new brand that could really talk to all of us together as a team. And that's the Innovare Advancement Center. With that innovate, integrate, educate, and elevate path with that tagline associated with it. We wanted to make it something that would be the heart of not only those of us here that reside in the Mohawk Valley and what has grown with AFRL as well as our other community partners, but also elevate this to what we're doing to an international brand and perspective. And so that's why we wanted all of the partners together to have a ownership over this brand and see us coming together where it wasn't just the Air Force leading, but being together hand in hand with everyone moving forward. And that's how we were going to build new relationships in order to move forward in our technical areas. So in that 5-year strategy that I talked about, that we developed here with the partners that you see on the slide, New York State, and Oneida County, and Rome, New York, those 3 government partners for us were able to come together, and they had this economic development interest. How do we utilize what the lab has to offer, develop economically? And that's of interest to us too, because the more people that come into the community, that's more the players that we have to work with. We worked with the State University of New York. They had a lot of great things to bring to the table in terms of successes and just the foundational structure of the largest school system in the country. Why wouldn't we want to work closer with them? And we already had a tight partnership with them as well, being here in New York State. And then 2 local nonprofit partners, the Griffith Institute and NISTech. It was really this team all together that came out and said, this is what we have the capability to put on the table, and this is how that we think that we can move forward with that. And that's how we developed this strategy together. Because there's different components of that that we as the Air Force couldn't excel in, but our other partners could. And with our main core research area, our main mission being research and development, that's where we really want to excel in. We didn't want to run a facility. We didn't want to worry about security. We know we love entrepreneurship because that's how we cultivate small businesses, but that wasn't our expertise either. So that's why it was all the partners together really forming that 5-year strategy and how we're going to move out together as a team on that. The people you see represented is our government team that is working as part of that. And so you can see that our entire front office staff, all of the senior leaders in Rome, have a very active part in this and have a very active part in making sure that this brand, this Innovare Advancement Center, is a success. So the vision and mission that came out of Innovare Advancement Center, the wording is a little bit tweaked from the original goal and strategy, because as we started to formulate where the focus, the key laser focus was going to be in meeting everyone's intent on making sure that those interests of bringing people to the table were going to be part of that, we started tweaking this language a little bit, making sure that global catalyst was really called out, making sure that talent piece, tech challenges were part of that. And this is really what comes to what the 3 main goals that are in that 5-year strategy that I'm going to talk to next. But we really do want to make sure that I love the magnetic ecosystem part of the mission, because it's making it so that we're an attractor to the great infrastructure and the great technical piece of this that we're trying to attract, but also with the recognition that it isn't about a physical location either. For me, the Innovare Advancement Center is the heart of it is in the Mohawk Valley. That's where the Information Directorate is. That's where our technical partners are. But it's making sure our people are in the right place, the right time, the right location. We have several personnel exchanges that we're setting up with different organizations. We've sent people out to Kessel Run at Hanscom Air Force Base. We have people placed down at other Air Force locations, but we also coordinated making sure some Air Force Academy cadets are being sent out to Google to perform some internships with them as well. It's those kinds of things, that it's all of that together that's really going to elevate what we're doing here in Rome as well. So the first goal within this strategy is building Rome's runway to the world, engaging a global community of 100 diverse partners to introduce game-changing capabilities built on Air Force core strengths in AI, ML, cyber, and quantum. So for us, this is the key pillar. That's the technical pillar. And as I said, there's 3 pillars. And so one of them being focused on technical, one's going to be focused on entrepreneurial, and one's going to be focused on STEM related. And we feel it's all 3 of those together that's are really elevating this piece. So how do we take the, $1.7 billion annual expenditure in S&T that we do every year in Rome and make sure that we're taking best opportunity of this by engaging our partners with that? For us is, how do we double down on our cooperative research agreement opportunities? We're not necessarily going to get more dollars and more money from AFRL as part of our core S&T, but we can really focus on the impact of that S&T by having more partners working with them in parallel to move forward, especially in those core strengths that we have here in Rome, in those focused technical areas that are so hot right now, and the quantum infrastructure. So that's the big part for us, is engaging other ecosystems, building recognition for Rome, building recognition for the Innovare Advancement Center, and everything that we have to come to play as part of that is goal 1. And within our 5-year strategy that is publicly available, not only does it have metrics to track against, but it also has economic indicators to show that we're being successful in this. And again, this is 100 diverse partners over 5 years. I think that we're way on track with some of our early on events to far exceed this, and we're just so excited about it. Goal 2 and goal 3, as I mentioned, one is entrepreneurial and one is community attainment. This entrepreneurial piece is so key for me because it's about making sure that there's a pipeline for entrepreneur ventures and startups, that they get the help that they need along the way. And that means leaning on other startups. That means having an avenue and understanding how to follow through into the next steps, how to grow into an actual small company, how to grow into a medium-sized company, and making sure that you're connected with the Air Force or the right opportunities along the way. So often we see, especially with our SIBRs, of, all right, well, we've done this with SIBRs, we've advanced into phase 2s, it's not right for phase 3s, but what's next? What do we do is still small. We still can't compete in these big open calls very well. What's this in between for us? And really making sure that that's solidified. For a lot of this goal, our partners are really going to be responsible for this, making sure putting together an entrepreneurial strategy, taking advantage of the things that are already going on, the accelerators, the incubators, and pulling it together into a holistic approach and making sure that those gaps are filled. And then really being able to target and then take credit for those entrepreneurial ventures through the brand. And then goal 3 is, it's written a little bit interesting, and we wrote it that way for a reason. But at its very heart, it's STEM, making sure that STEM starts on day 1, that starts even pre-K level, and make sure to cultivate that curiosity all the way through college, and making sure, and even into professional continuing education, and just inspiring the desire for learning and excitement in these areas that we're in. I mean, quantum computing has such a exciting future capability, but as soon as you start talking about it, people are like, oh, that sounds scary, that sounds sci-fi, but it's not. So it's here, it's today. We're trapping ions today in our laboratories. So how do you communicate and inspire that excitement? How do we put our researchers into classrooms to talk about the real things that we're doing every day? How do we expand on the STEM base that we've grown here and continue to do better? One of our partners has a great concept of STEM 365. We have all of this great STEM education stuff that goes on. How do you bring it all together into a holistic concept where you can point to how someone can get STEM related education and curriculum 365 days of the year, no matter where they are, and part of that is coming here to Rome, but some of that may be online learning and being able to point in the right direction, finding mentors at the right locations, all that kind of stuff all comes together. And we've got a lot of great STEM stuff, but I think that there's a lot of people that we miss as part of that, especially those younger kids that we don't think are interested in STEM quite yet. I tell people that I've got a 15-month-old daughter, and she's a toddler. She's into everything, but she's fascinated about how things work. She's starting to turn the gears on her little boxes, and she's starting to open and close books and really analyze why things are the way they are at this young age. It isn't a high school topic. It isn't a middle school topic. It's a 15-month-old topic of making sure that excitement for STEM is conveyed at that level. That's going to take her through all the way through high school and college and beyond. But as long as she continues to have that excitement, then we're raising that community's intellectual leadership. And we did phrase that goal that way because it's very much, again, tied to metrics. That's so big for us, was making sure that we genuinely had metrics and indicators associated with what we were doing here that we could track and show success, because that's going to be important for our government partners as well, for their investment on what they did on the facility side that I'll talk about a little bit here next. So I put this slide in here, but COVID, you guys weren't really able to move forward because of COVID, right? You know, it's been so amazing. We've really been able to double down and move forward almost quicker on this because we could get people together quicker on phone conversations. We didn't have to worry about people being off on travel, and we had a platform that we could really work on. And so what I'm going to talk about next is a couple events that just happened, a couple of things upcoming, and the facility got completed that's going to complement this as all part of this. All got completed during COVID. So we've been so excited that we've been really had the time and capability to focus on all of this. One of the big events that we just did was the Quantum Collider. There was actually also a big quantum tech U accelerator that happened last summer. That was the very first event that we branded with Innovare. And that was all run virtually, and it was like a little small pitch day. But the Quantum Collider is the second quantum event, the major international quantum event that we've done here during COVID. And it was really an opportunity for academia and small business to collaborate around some of those disruptive S&T efforts for advancing quantum within that Air Force context. It was the first ever virtual STTR Collider event where the Air Force organized around principal investigators in the government, academia, and commercial area to accelerate the discovery and application of technology that's really still in that basic research realm. And so that was big for us, making sure that all teams were present together as part of that conversation, and making sure that people realize that the Air Force isn't only open for business for applied technologies, but we are in that low risk, that we really are in more that high risk game as well, and not just in the low risk, ready for market type of areas that there is some assumption about the Air Force around. So that was a big part of it, that we awarded 23 small businesses with 35 phase 1 STTR contracts for $150K each, totaling over $5.25 million in just a 2-day event. So there was a big impact there. We had well over 2,200 views over the course of the week, which is never anything that we would have been able to do in a strictly in-person event, as I'm sure you can imagine. Our quantum event the summer before had, I believe, over 75 countries represented in it. So moving forward, I think it really doubles down not only that Innovare is more than just local, but being able to hit this international community. We're not going to do away with virtual events. This allowed us to focus on the virtual events, but we're definitely going to move into an area where most of our events are either going to be virtual or a hybrid, in person and virtual, to make sure that we're hitting the full force of people that are interested in the topics and the concepts that we're bringing to play here. And one of the fun results of the Collider is that we actually resulted in an invitation to us to have an actual person present at the California Institute of Technology Quantum Center, studying under Dr. John Preskill, one of the chairs, and the inventor of the quantum computer. So we're really excited about that. The next topic to talk about here is our Trusted AI Workshop Series. Again, this is all brought together under COVID restrictions and kind of forcing us to think about things in a different way. And it's been great for building out this capability. There's 3 events associated with that Trusted AI Workshop Series. It is going to be just this year as a special topic. But we partnered with SUNY, with NICE-Tech, with the Griffith Institute, with the National Security Innovation Network, Innovation Collective, all as a team together in order to pull this together. The first event was just about building the vision. Where do we need to go in trusted AI? What are the genuine challenges that we have in order to crack these? There was panels, there was keynotes, there was collaboration times. And then this event 2 that's coming up here at the end of April, that's actually where the challenges, the official written challenges, are going to be released to the public that were as a result of bringing together that event 1 and doing that visioning exercise as part of it. And then event 3 is actually going to be a $30 million pitch day. With primarily SBIR funds, a little bit of SITR funding mixed into to tackle those specific challenges that were brought about to it. So that has all come together in a great way. It's great that each of our partners are as a part of it. The big cookie at the end is obviously the $30 million pitch days, but several of our partners have come together with smaller targeted challenges as well as to fund and find opportunities for too. It's where all of us together are able to have that larger impact. And SUNY obviously has been a very big part of the technical part of that challenge in collaboration with us too. Let's see. And then the other big event that we're running, this is one of my babies, being the Open Innovation Lead, it's structured a little bit similar to the Trusted AI workshop, but it's the Innovare Aspire series. And this is really going to be our sustaining challenge series from here on out. We're going to run a challenge series every single year. It's going to be focused on the current technical needs of the Directorate, but is going to have a industry piece folded into this too. So each year we're going to get together with key innovators within AFRL, work on research topics that are targeted specifically for a wider community to kind of crack that nugget on some of those research topics that we need to turn into to develop for other opportunities within the laboratory. They're going to be able to cover the main technical focus areas within the laboratory and within the goals of Innovare, so everything from quantum to data fusion to AI. And after we develop those topics, we actually are going to do, just like the Trusted AI workshop, we're going to do a deep dive with industry, with invited industry partners to work out making sure that those challenges are the right focus, there's interest, it makes sense, we've covered all of the gaps, and then do actually a call for participation. So this is always going to be a new dollar associated challenge, but it's with the goal for us being create opportunities and in general to be able to network and connect people together. If 2 small businesses realize they're working on the same thing and they can get together and elevate it, that's a success to us as part of this, even if the Air Force doesn't end up being directly related in any of this. The challenge topics for this year are on the left, and we came up with 5 of them through the first 2 steps of the process. And then our invite for the Aspire series is going to be in mid-August. The actual call for participation is going to be opening here on 1 April, and all of that is going to be public and pushed to our mailing list and put on the innovare.org website as well. And then finally, I talked about the facility. This is actually an old control building from the old Griffiths Air Force Base. Half of it was empty, dead, dying, full of asbestos grossness. That building had gotten turned over to the county and the economic development group whenever the base left by the Air Force. And part of it had been redeveloped to complement the airport and been the UAS test center. But 2 of the floors were completely empty in it. And the county had been looking for a way to actually turn this into something that was usable, that people were in, that complemented the airport's perspective. So the county used a lot of state funds, renovated this into the concept for the Innovare Advancement Center. And the Griffiths Institute, one of those nonprofit partners that I mentioned, actually moved into this building and is renting it from the county. We access, as the Air Force, we access that building as part of our partnership intermediary with the Griffith Institute. But the Griffith Institute is the main driver behind a lot of the Innovare mission and vision and strategy moving forward. And so they're going to be a lot of the height of the managing of the metrics and everything behind Innovare in partnership with us through that tech transition work that they do with us. Moving forward. So that's just kind of a picture of the outside. On my last podcast, I showed a couple of the layouts, but there's 2 quantum laboratories in there. There's 2 electronics laboratory. There's a whole floor of pod spaces for different groups. And even with COVID, we're starting to move some work over into there that was being hosted at the old Griffith Institute building, moving that over, as well as moving some new projects over there. All the quantum equipment is slowly moving in to build up those laboratories, and we're just so excited, especially for those quantum laboratories. That was a big part, that was a missing key component for us to be able to move forward. Building international relationships in quantum is bringing our international partners into a military facility. Had security concerns that were hard to overcome. And so now that they can do the basic research outside of the fence, do that work, have a place in order to do that, and hone in on that mission, it's just a big part of it. So I wanted to give that call out too, that the facility is done and completed, maybe not staffed as fully quite yet as it could be, but we're looking forward to hosting more workshops, more STEM, more talks, more lunch and learns, all that kind of great stuff that's going to be open to the community in there. So I think that's my update, what we've been doing, what we've been accomplishing. Certainly invite you to go to innovare.org to keep updated with what we're doing. Look out for those upcoming events. And then so much more in the next 4 years as we continue to execute on that 5-year strategy and drive those metrics. We will be doing annual reports, so that way you can keep up with us on a yearly basis on what's going on.
Thank you for that update, Karen. It's tremendous amount of progress that you've made since you gave the webinar on the Open Innovation Campus. Very exciting. So Karen gave us an overview today of Innovare and some of the things that are going on. And what we plan to do is follow up with some additional podcasts. We'll provide more information on some specific areas. We're talking about diving into some of those challenge areas that Karen identified. We'll also look at providing information on various other areas related to Innovare. So there'll be more to come. And Karen, I want to thank you for this update. Like I said, it was very, very fascinating.
Thanks, Steve. Happy to be here and happy to have the conversation.
On behalf of the CSIAC, we would like to thank you for viewing this podcast. We hope you found the content useful and informative. If you would like to provide us with feedback, please comment on this video or visit our website at www.csiac.org, where you can also find additional content to review.
Did you know that CSIAC offers free monthly webinars featuring experts in the areas of cybersecurity, software engineering, modeling and simulation, and knowledge management? Come see leading industry professionals talk about industry practices and leading research. Make sure to visit www.csiac.org/webinars in order to subscribe to our mailing list and see when the next webinar series is available. There you can also watch previous webinar series to catch up. Visit www.csiac.org/webinars.